What's going on, guys? This is Chandler Smith, and one of the biggest questions that I get asked is, Chandler, is multifamily real estate the best investment? And I've been in your shoes. I've had everyone pitching me lots of different investments. And so in this video, I'm gonna help you determine if real estate is the right investment for you, but I'm also going to push why I truly believe it is the best investment for absolutely anyone. So with all of that being said, let's jump into it. All right, guys, if you're new to the channel, I've been investing in real estate for the last 9 years. I currently own over 150 units of residential real estate, and the majority, actually, I think pretty much all of it, is multifamily real estate. So to say I'm biased wouldn't be fair because I am extremely biased. However, I've had the opportunity over the last 12 years to really dive into lots of different ways to invest. And I've been fortunate at a very young age to have money that I've worked hard to earn and then had to choose to invest it or to sit on it. I started out only earning $90,000 a year, and I've gotten to the point where I earn over 7 figures a year. The only reason that I share that with you is I know a lot of you are watching this, and some of you might only have $30,000 you're willing to invest. Some of you might have millions, and some of you might fall somewhere in between. And I can say that I've been in all of your situation, faced with the decision of, hey, should I invest in multifamily real estate or should I invest in something else? And so in this video, I'm gonna help you make the proper decision on what you should invest in. Now, again, I'm biased and I'm gonna push you hard towards multifamily, but this video is going to explain why. Now, with any investment, you are faced with the decision of risk versus reward. And so I'm gonna start this video by explaining why real estate is the lowest risk you can possibly have with any investment for the reward that you get. And that's why I truly believe it is the best place for your money. Now, some of you might be willing to take way more risk than I've ever been willing to take, and it might pay off. However, with risk, there's always the potential downside. And that's why I think with any investment, you should weigh it on this scale of, how risky is it and how large of a reward will it give me? And I think in both categories, multifamily real estate destroys when it comes to comparing them against the competition of other potential investments. So before we jump into the risk section and then going into the reward section, all that I ask you to do is remember to smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the little bell so you can catch all of my other videos that are here to help you build a huge passive income through investing in real estate. And with all that being said, let's jump into the risk side of investing in real estate. Now, the reason that your risk matters is with any investment, you always have the potential to lose all of your money. And with a lot of investments, you even have the risk to not only lose all of your money, but lose money that you don't have if you've leveraged things improperly, to the point where if you invest in the wrong thing and you do it incorrectly, you could potentially end up losing a lot more than what you invested. Now, this is in rare situations, but it's something you need to keep in mind because risk does matter. Because if you don't take that into consideration and you invest in something that is a bad investment, it can literally ruin your life. So you want to make sure that you weigh this scale very carefully before you ever give your money to anyone, and especially before you leverage the money you have with debt. One of the reasons I absolutely adore investing in real estate is because you can mitigate your risk in a big way. Because naturally there's lots of inherent risk with any investment, and especially with real estate. But with real estate, there's so many different ways that you can mitigate and even eliminate a lot of that risk, so you're left with just the reward side of investing in real estate. The first way that you can really mitigate your risk is you can put your property into an LLC. Now with me, I have tons of multifamily properties. I've got duplexes, fourplexes, 8-unit, 10-unit. I've got as big as a 32-unit apartment complex. And every single one of these, I've either purchased with an LLC or I've purchased it in my own name and I moved it into an LLC. What this does is it gives you a little bit of protection so that anything that is lost, any potential risk, is hopefully confined to whatever assets are controlled by that LLC. Now, there is a lot that goes into this, and that's why you should always talk with an accountant and with a lawyer before personally investing in real estate. However, you need to understand this is a tool that you can use to mitigate your risk. The next tool you can use, and this is something that everyone should and usually does use, is insurance. Now, there are multiple different ways to set up insurance and ways to structure the insurance that you have by paying more or less, or by the company that you work with, to mitigate your risk. You can mitigate a ton of risk. And so a lot of times over-insuring things can actually be a bad thing, because then you're spending money that you don't need to spend because it's not ever going to benefit you. However, this is one of the things I love about investing in real estate is, again, you can sit down with an insurance agent after talking with your lawyer and accountant, and you can say, all right, what is my risk? What could I potentially lose with this property? Is it just the property? Do I want to look at insuring the actual rents on the property? Do I want to look at making sure that all of my tenants personally have their own insurance for anything that happens to their property while staying in my property? All of these are ways to mitigate your risk, and all of them are things that I personally think you should and can educate yourself on to mitigate your risk even more when it comes to your property, when it comes to making sure that you use a title company when you purchase the property so you can have title insurance, when it comes to getting each of your tenants to have their own renter's insurance. All of these things protect you, and they're all things that you can do after purchasing a rental property, so that if your property burns down, so that if anything happens to your property, to the title, to any of those things, you're insured so you don't care, because then the insurance company is going to have to write you a fat check if anything does happen. And you can plan for those things by looking at your numbers when you purchase a rental property and knowing that you're still going to get a large return even after paying your monthly expense of insurance. The next way that you can protect yourselves, and this actually will surprise people, but it's by getting a loan on your property. Now, I know a ton of red flags are going up because you're saying, Chandler, if I own the property in cash, then I'm protected, because the only thing I could lose is what I have invested into the property, and then that's all I could lose. And if I can pay for it in cash, it's not going to affect my life. Now, I see this argument, and maybe this is the way that you choose to mitigate your risk. However, that's going to destroy your reward or your returns that we're going to talk about in a minute, because you won't get nearly as high of a percentage return or be able to control as much real estate as you could if you use leverage. But again, this is something you've got to weigh in your scale. Now, again, I'm going to push you hard towards using leverage. One, because you can control more real estate. It's going to pay you a higher percentage return. But the last thing comes to this liability factor, and that is that when you get a loan, you have more eyes looking at the property. You have a required appraisal, and you have a bank that is gone. They've looked at your specific deal. They've looked at the numbers of your deal on this multifamily rental property, and they've said, hey, we trust you enough to where if you just bring 25% down, we're going to float you the other 75% to be able to buy this property, because we believe it's a good investment. We believe that due diligence wise, this looks like something that you're going to be able to pay your bills. Now, if you don't, they're going to take ownership of the property. But the reality is banks don't want to do that. They just want to collect on your interest every single month and lend you money. And they wouldn't do that unless it made it through their processes. Now, in 2008, yeah, they messed up a little bit on their processes, but since then they've gotten very good, especially when you're looking at multifamily real estate, 5 units plus, at just focusing on the numbers, on the market, and making sure that they are confident in your investment. If you go to a crappy market and you go to buy a $70,000 rental property and you go to the bank, they're not going to give you a loan on it, because they're going to say, hey, this is too risky for us to take on as a bank. And so this is just one more, I guess, factor to be able to mitigate your risk, and that is by getting a loan and having a bank's eyes on the property. Now, again, people argue with me, but if you think differently than I do and you want to pay cash for this property, well, once again, that's another way that in your own mind or in your way of looking or evaluating this kind of investment, you can say, hey, that helps me mitigate my risk as well. Now, I'm sure you're thinking, Chandler, you actually can mitigate a lot of your risk, and you're right, but I'm not done yet. The next way you can mitigate your risk is by getting a property manager. or a property management company to take care of your properties once you take ownership. Now here's why. With the property management company, you want to make sure that they've got lots of checks and balances in place that are on your contract. They're checking the smoke detectors, they're checking the carbon monoxide detectors. They are going and making sure that the property is in good shape. They're taking care of the walks. They have all of these responsibilities where, again, you have liability that you're covered with insurance, but then you can push away that liability because if anything does happen, you can say, look, I have a contract with a property management company. They're the ones that's taking care of this property. So if someone slipped and fell, I'm sorry, that's not my responsibility to maintain the walks. I have a contract right here that says that's their responsibility. So once again, you are separating yourself from the property and from that liability. On top of that, then you don't have to deal with the issues. And I know we're talking liability or risk, but one of the big risks for me with investing in rental real estate was I didn't want the late night calls. I didn't want the pissed off tenants. I didn't want all of the negatives that come with dealing with evictions and everything else. And all of those things can be mitigated by hiring a good property management company. Finally, the last point I want to hit on is you're going to control an asset that is a limited resource. Now, you can build more housing, but you can't create more land. Even though we're all banking on Elon Musk to save our whole planet and set us up on Mars, hasn't happened yet. So every year people are building more properties and land values are going up, property values are going up because it's a limited resource. And guess what else? Every year it becomes more and more expensive due to inflation and a myriad of other things. So if you control that resource, naturally it is going up in value and it's becoming more scarce and it's becoming more expensive to be able to create more of that resource. All of these things are things that make it an incredible investment or an incredible asset to control because one, people always need housing. Whether you're looking at the stock market or cryptocurrency or the myriad of other investments, I don't think there's any other investment that has all of these protections in place and a huge need that I don't see any way for it to disappear. You're always going to have people that want a roof over their heads. And so in my personal opinion, now don't quote me on this, but you could too. I look at housing and it's hard to not think that right now lots of people can buy housing and they've always been able to buy housing. But every year, the middle class is disappearing. No one can argue that. More and more people are becoming renters and more people are becoming multimillionaires by investing in real estate. And I do think that at some point we might hit a place where there aren't people that can enter into being able to buy real estate. Now, maybe this is a crazy thought and I'm gonna get a ton of heat, but from what I've seen, it's become harder and harder to control real estate. And so while we're in a place right now where you still can, I think you're crazy to not with all of the protections that are in place. I just truly believe that there is no better investment just by looking at how low the risk is. So if you were only getting 3% as a return on this investment, I think the risk would be worth it. And that's what's so crazy is now we're going to transition into the reward side of multifamily real estate. And if you do it correctly, you can get a 30 to 40 to 50 to even a 100% return on your money every single year. And if you figure out what you're doing and you figure out how to leverage properly and refinance and 1031 exchange and take advantage of all of the other benefits on the reward side of investing in real estate, you can actually get infinite returns on your investment because whatever you invest, you can pull out and put into another investment while the original investment continues to make you money. So now that we've covered the risk, now let's jump into the reward. And guys, the reward on real estate is absolutely asinine. It's crazy. It doesn't make sense that you can mitigate your risk so much, yet get such a large reward. And that's why the majority of the very wealthy own real estate, because there is no better place to stash your money because the risk is so low and the reward is absolutely incredible. So reward number one is cash flow. Now, what cash flow is every month you own a property. And with that property, you have expenses, but you have rents coming in. So they come, they pay their rents of $1,000. Then you've got to pay your taxes, your insurance, your mortgage, which we're going to talk about later because it's not completely an expense. We'll hit on that in a minute. But all of your expenses go out, your property management fee, whatever it is. And if you have $1,000 come in, $500 comes out, $500 is left, and that goes directly, do not pass go, do not whatever, that money goes right into your bank account, and that's your money. That's a straight return in cash that you can do whatever you want. And so for me, I live off of my cash flow, even though there are a bunch of other rewards we're now gonna talk about. Cash flow is my favorite reward because it's cash. You can touch it, you can feel it, you get it every single month. And if you buy real estate properly, I would say that you should be getting a 12% return on your initial investment every single year. So right away, you're getting better than the standard return you could get from the stock market, from any IRA, any 401k, any whatever, with low risk, and you're getting this massive return of 12% if you do it right. And that is just one of the many rewards you get from owning real estate. The next way that you cash out big is by something called appreciation. Now, the way that appreciation works is your property naturally is going to go up in value. Now, some of this is caused by inflation. Some of it is caused by the fact that there's a huge demand for housing, and some of it is just the nature of real estate. It goes up in value every single year, and it goes up in value a lot in certain markets. Now, historically, appreciation is between 3 and 5%. However, over the last couple of years, it's exploded. And I would say that the average has probably even gone up because of the last couple of years, especially in the market that I'm in. We have had years that were over 12% in appreciation, right? So now you've got 12% in cash flow, you've got 12% in appreciation, but here's the catch. If you bought a property with leverage, so you put 25% down, let's say you bought $1 million property and you put 250, actually no, that's too big because you can still buy a property for 100 grand. So let's say you bought a property for $100,000 and you bought it with 25,000. And if you live in it, you can get even less. There's another benefit to real estate, but we're gonna say you bought it with 25%, even though if you live in it, you could buy it as low as 3.5%. Even though you invested 25% or 3.5%, so $25,000 or $3,500, you still control a $100,000 property. And that property is still going up by value based on its total value. So if you bought a $100,000 property, but you only spent $3,500, but that property goes up in value by 15% or 12% or 10%, if you get that 12% I'm talking about, your $100,000 property just went up by $12,000. So you could control a $100,000 property with $3,500 and it could go up by $12,000. That's 4x on your investment just in appreciation. So that's the second way that you make money is through appreciation. And a lot of times that's adding on another 10 to 12 to however much percent to your return. The next one is something called principal paydown. Now, earlier, I kind of hinted at your mortgage not being an expense. It's something you have to pay every month, but a portion of that mortgage goes to paying off what you owe to the bank so that you have more equity in the property. So you're getting equity in the property from it going up in value, but you're also getting equity in the property because the money your tenants are paying every month is going to paying that down. So again, you're making a return, and a lot of times that can be a good chunk, whether it's 5 or 10%, depending on how long your loan is. And in my opinion, you should drag that loan out because it's going to increase your cash flow, and your cash flow is money you can touch. It's money you can use right away. Your appreciation is money that you need to use a 1031 exchange or refinance or find another way to pull that money out, whether you use a HELOC or some form of creative financing to get access to that money. Now we've hit on cash flow, appreciation, principal paydown. All of those could get you up to a 30, 40, 50, maybe even 100% return on your initial investment. And there's so many different ways to do it, but there's one more massive advantage. And that advantage is that you get massive tax benefits. Now, I'm not gonna dive into what all these tax benefits are, but for me, I pay 0 tax on the appreciation, the principal pay down, the cash flow. Not only do I not have to pay tax on all the money I'm making from my real estate investments, but if you do it right, You can even save money on taxes against other income you have coming in from other areas because of the money you spent investing in real estate. Now, you can do this through something called cost segregation, and essentially it's just using the depreciation against your income. I'm not gonna dive into it, but it's insane because you have all of these ways you're getting a huge return, and then you don't have to pay tax on any of them if you do it and structure it right, and you're not doing anything illegal or sketchy or any of that. This is something the government wants you to do. And so you have all of these massive tax advantages that not only protect the money you make off of your money, but it helps you protect the money from the government off of the money you made to use to make more money. So I know that was all over the place, but at the end of the day, you get massive tax benefits from investing in real estate. So you've now got to the end of this video. And if you started this video saying, all right, is multifamily real estate a good investment? I'm really hoping that you've decided that there is no better investment in the entirety of the world than multifamily real estate when looking at that risk versus reward. Now, are there crazy risky investments that might pay off for you? Yeah, there are, and they could potentially pay a higher return. Could you start some business that explodes and turns into Amazon? Oh, 100%. But the odds of that happening are not good, and you're taking on huge risk. Where real estate, it's proven, it's tried, it's made probably millions of millionaires. And maybe that's an overstatement, but I don't think it is, because it's an absolutely incredible investment if you do it properly. So if you're thinking about jumping into multifamily real estate, I'm begging you, do it. And it's crazy because you're gonna go buy properties that I could buy, but I don't care because I have won big because of investing in real estate, and I want you to do the same because it's absolutely incredible. Now, if you've hit a wall and you don't know where to go next, but you want to start investing, there are lots of different places you can look. Bigger Pockets is a great resource. Go follow Brandon Turner. He is the man. He's incredible. He's got great advice. Go follow my buddy Ryan Pineda. There are tons of people out there that teach and train and help educate you on investing in real estate. And the majority of us do it completely for free. You can also follow my channel. Just hit the subscribe button below, like this video, and go check out all of my other videos because I show you how to do this for free, and I promise you it will bless your life. Now, if you hit the point where you enjoyed this video, you like my other videos, but you wanna level up, you wanna buy lots of real estate, you wanna get into it as much as you can and have a structured process, I also created a real estate investing course that you can pick up for a discount using the link down in my description. But again, I don't want this to be a pitch video. You use that if you want to. If not, there's so much free content out there that'll help you get where you wanna be. I just want you to start investing in real estate. So if you enjoyed this video, all that I really ask, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and we'll look forward to seeing you in the future videos. And if this video gets you to buy your first property, shoot me a message on Instagram. I love getting those messages that say, Chandler, you pushed me over the edge, it changed my life, and I'd also love to connect with you there. So thanks so much, guys, and have a great day.